guys. So my name is Nick. I am a recovered drug addict and alcoholic. So I'm actually heading out to a men's retreat this weekend, and we're leaving tomorrow. It's a spiritual retreat. It's based on a book by John Eldridge. It's like a man's journey for like longing and purpose and really finding like his roots and really rediscovering himself and what God really wants for us in general. And I have the opportunity to share tomorrow. So I'm actually speaking. It's a segment. It's kind of like a testimony, but it's not really a testimony. So what it is I'm going to be sharing a talk it's called the Poser Talk. And what the Poser Talk is I'll briefly explain this to you guys, is it starts off with a wound. So there's a little boy that gets wounded somewhere along the way. And because of that wounding, he ends up feeling like the world rejects him and hates him for who he really is. So he puts on this mask. And for the next multiple years, he lives his life through that mask. And what comes after that is he loses himself. He doesn't know who he is anymore. He ends up in a mess and nearly dies. So this talk is the Poser Talk. And basically, I'll be taking you through that journey of my wounding and putting on that mask. So growing up as a child, I was very timid. My father worked a lot. He was absent throughout my youth. I got picked on and bullied as a child because I was shy, quiet, and overweight. I remember being so angry because I didn't know how to defend myself or how to be a man. This went on for years as I coasted through high school. I wasn't popular in high school. I often spent most of my lunch breaks hanging out with the others like me in the staircases away from the cafeteria, away from judgment and criticism. All I ever wanted was to fit in. I had this idea that if I lost weight, maybe I'd get noticed. There was a girl that I liked, but I knew the reality of it, and I knew that what I looked like, and I knew I would get rejected, so I thought I'd lose some weight and maybe I'd have a chance. So little did I know what I was getting myself into. I did it for the wrong reasons, for a girl. As I made my way through high school, that didn't change. I learned how to diet and exercise. I made a vow to myself that one day, wherever I go, I'll be the one that everybody looks at, like the main attraction. I want everyone to look at me and say, I want to look like that guy. So what started off for a girl became all about me, and boy, was it ever all about me. I discovered the world of anabolic steroids. A close friend of mine had introduced me to steroids at the time, warned me, once you turn over to the dark side, there's no turning back. If I had only listened to him, but soon enough I was going to find out for myself exactly what that meant. It was nothing like I had ever imagined it could be. It gave me a false sense of belonging, a false sense of newfound purpose. I became faster, sharper. Everything I did felt like it had so much more depth and meaning. That too was soon about to wear off. As I grew bigger, the more I felt like I was losing bits and pieces of myself along the way. Behind the fake mask I put on for myself, tan skin, washboard abs, all I could see when I looked in the mirror was this overweight, insecure little boy with self-confidence issues. The steroids became my solution, a false sense of reality that I created for myself, a way to cope with the pain for now. I became exactly the guy I said I would be. I finally could prove to that little boy inside that he was wrong. But when I finally reached the top of the mountain and arrived at my final destination, I didn't know where here was anymore. I only ever saw flaws, more flaws, weakness in myself. This only led me to a darker place in my story. I allowed a darkness to swallow me. I trained harder and grew angry and bitter. I could see the way people looked at me because I began to look freakish, and it fueled me. I craved the attention. It fed this inner beast I had growing inside, one I was about to nurture and grow for many years. I began to worship steroids. It held such a special place in my heart. It was like my first love, but that love was about to turn its back on me. As a byproduct of this spiritual malady, I had been festering inside me, I turned to partying, hard drugs, and a dark, cold lifestyle. I had become so surface level driven and required so much approval that I needed to post pictures of myself on Facebook and Instagram to see how many likes I could get while hoping I could attract certain people's attention. It chewed me up and spit me out. My drug use got worse. I soon was addicted to cocaine, painkillers, and sex. I was consumed by this lifestyle. I had this fear of showing my true colors because I felt that I was weak, scared, and every time I let anyone in or close, they would see who I really was inside, and that would push them away. I vowed to never get hurt again. So I had been hurt a lot and let down a lot in my life. It's as though no matter what I did, I could never be good enough for anyone. My emotions were my weakness. I was always in pain. I prayed for a cold heart. I prayed for someone to make me not feel pain or fear anymore. I wanted to be dark and cold-hearted so I could no longer feel anything. I thought I was protecting myself by setting my emotions aside. So it seemed as though everything I touched or came around me crumbled and rotted away before my eyes. I was like a leech. I sucked the life out of everything or anyone till there was nothing left. Then I would move on. So the problem with this disease that I had was I was a consumer. I consumed everything. People, substances, drugs, anything that I could latch onto, I would do it. And I always looked for a solution. That was the problem. And then I ended up a drug addict. I had to go to the hospital 3 times. They restarted my heart. I got into 3 car accidents that I nearly killed myself under the influence. At the end of it, I was like $20,000 in debt. I tried to commit suicide by going on a bender and drinking myself to sleep for like 3 days in a row. And then one day I woke up and I said I had enough. So I went to rehab, went to Jericho Road for 9 months, and I learned what my problem was. My problem was me. It wasn't drugs, wasn't booze, wasn't the things that I was consuming. They were my solutions. I couldn't live with life. I couldn't cope with who I was. Because at the end of the day, I was a broken little boy that put on a mask, and that was the problem. And by going through this 9-month journey, I was able to start working on that. It's a lifelong process. It's not going to get better just like this. But we're still going at it one day at a time. And this coming Christmas, I'll be celebrating 4 years of sobriety. So, thank you. By finding community, people that care, not isolating, I really was able to change my life around it. If you would have told me like 4 years ago that I would be up here talking to you guys, I'd tell you to go kick rocks. But here we are. You know, things change, and that's life, and that's what God wants, and that's what I'm going to do. And along the way, I met a beautiful woman, and we just got married this summer, so things really work out, you know? They really do. So thank you for listening, guys.